Good morning. We're in the garden with Millie. Come on out, kiddo. Come say hello. It's a very bright and sunny morning. Come on out, Millie. Come show the kids what we need to do today. I think she's a little unhappy about being in the sun. I'll move you into the shade. Just come on out and say hello. Come on. So today we're going to be learning about flowers. So I've gathered some things that we're going to need. And today we're going to learn about different kinds of flowers. We're going to learn about the kind that lives through the winter called perennials, and they come back every spring. And we're going to learn about annuals, who we have to plant each year. And for today's lesson, you're going to need a container that holds water, either a clipper or a scissor, your garden journal and crayons, some gardening gloves, and most importantly, you're going to need permission from your family because we are going to be doing some cutting of flowers in our yards and gardens. So let me collect Millie because I think she made a break for it. Millie! Oh yeah, look, she wanted to find a shady spot. So I'm going to move her into the shade and we'll come back and get started. Our story today is called Fran's Flower, and it is written by Lisa Bruce and illustrated by Rosalind Beardshaw. And there's Fran, and there's her pup that I always think looks like Spencer with his black ears and white face. And there's her flower. So let's see what happens to Fran's flower. Fran's flower. One day, Fran found a flower pot filled with soil. Poking out of the top was a tiny green tip. "I will grow this flower," Fran said to Fred. And Fred looked excited, right? She took her flower home. "Grow, flower," she said, but the tip stayed tiny. "I think this flower is hungry," Fran said. So Fran went to the fridge. Inside, she found some of her favorite food. She gave it a slice of pizza. And the next day, Fran gave it a piece of cheeseburger. Fred looks like he would like to have that bit of cheeseburger. Then she gave it spaghetti, 2 chocolate chip cookies, and a large spoonful of strawberry ice cream. She even gave it one of Fred's juicy bones. But the flower didn't grow. The tip stayed tiny. Fran got fed up. "Silly flower," said Fran, and she threw it out the back door. The flower pot fell onto the ground and rolled away. The rain fell on it. Oh, look, there's a little snail. The wind blew on it. The sun shone on it. Finally, the tiny green tip grew and grew until one day Fran and Fred went outside to play. And when they opened the door, a surprise was waiting. A big, beautiful flower just for Fran. And that's the end. Oh, look at them. That's silly. And that is the story of Fran's flower. I'm going to pull out my garden journal, and we are going to draw a picture of the things that a flower needs to grow healthy. And after that, I'll take you on a tour of my garden, and we will find different types of flowers. Okay, so we're here with our garden journal, and we're going to talk a little bit about what it is that plants and seeds need in order to grow. Now, Fran was sort of on the right track when she was figuring out what to do with her plant, but she made a few mistakes. Okay, so the first thing that a plant needs to grow is a seed, right? So that's our seed. Now, in order to get this seed to grow, it needs something to grow in, right? So Fran put her seed in a pot and filled that pot with soil, but we're just going to put our seed in the ground. So, right, we've got our seed in the soil. And then it needs something to drink, right? So it needs a little bit of water. And different plants are like people, just like how people like different things. Some people like chocolate ice cream, some people like vanilla, some people like milk, some people like water. Seeds have different likes too. So some like a lot of water, some don't like that much. We're going to make our water coming out of, I think, a watering can. There we go. So there's our watering can for some water. A little handle on it. And then they need something to warm them up and start them growing, and that is the sun, right? So we're going to make some sun in the picture. And that's what a seed needs. Now, we talked about how seeds like different amounts of water. Seeds also like different amounts of sun, and I'm going to show you what happened. See, I have this basket here, or this bowl, and usually one side of the bowl is in the shade, and the other side of the bowl sits in the sun. And look at what happened to my ones in the sun. Do they look like they're happy? No, they're all wilted. They're starting to get all crispy. They still have a little bit of life in them. I'm going to do something that hopefully will make them bounce back. But, you know, so in this case, half of my bowl was getting what it needed. The right soil, the right sun, the right water. And over on this side, they were getting too much sun and not enough water. So you can see even sometimes in sort of the same place, because of the way my tree branches fell, this side of the pot did not get what it needed. And you can really tell those flowers look sick, right? So I'm going to show you a little trick. It might work, it might not. So what you can do is, and the roots are still good, is cut off all of this part that is struggling, and that will give the roots and the parts that you leave a chance to get better. So we'll do a little science. We'll cut these and we'll leave these and we'll see which comes back. But you can see this is all brown. It needed more water and it needed less sun. So plants are like people, right? Everybody's got slightly different needs, and same with them. I'll actually give them a little drink. And we'll turn it this way because, you know. And then I'll move them into the shade for a couple of days to make sure they can rest, and they might bounce back. So I have a little song to help us remember what a seed needs, and it goes like this. I'm a little flower, nice and small. Soil, sun, and water make me tall. When I get all grown up, you will see I'm as big as I can be. And so that's what we need to make our seeds grow into flowers. Soil, sun, and water. So now we're going to take a tour of the garden, and I will show you all my different kinds of perennial flowers. It looks a little bit different than it looked when we were out here for our backyard birding unit. So we're going to go and take a look at some of the changes. So we talked about how there's two different, well, we're going to talk today about how flowers fall into two different families. So we have what my garden mostly is, which are called perennials. And perennials are flowers that come back every year. You don't have to come out and plant them. So every year, no matter what Todd and I do, most of these flowers come back. They send down their roots and they just go to sleep for the winter, and then they wake up in the spring and they do their thing. And then there are other kinds of flowers that need to be planted every year and be taken care of. These are usually the ones that are started from seed, and these we call annuals. That means they don't make it through the winter. They come back. These are the ones that you grow from seed because they don't come back. So first we'll take a look at my perennials, and then we're going to cut some and make a bouquet. Actually, yeah, I think that's what we'll do. So these come back every year. These are called daylilies. They're bright yellow. They come in all different colors, but I've got yellow ones. They come back every year. Then we've got some geraniums. These guys come back every year. We've got this super tall one. This is called rue. That's an herb that comes back every year. We've got over here, look what's starting to grow, some daisies. They come back every year. They're perennial. We've got some tiny daisies. That's called feverfew. And I had irises, but they've already gone. They're getting ready to store up their food for the next year. They use their leaves for the rest of the summer to make energy, and then they go to sleep in the fall. Then we'll come over here. These pink guys are called astilbes. And then we've got some roses. So all of these things in my garden, no matter what I do, they come back. Those are called perennials. Then I have my flowers that I grow in pots. And these guys need to make their seeds each year in order to come back. So these are some pansies. And you can see where they're nice and dried up. That's where the seeds are. And then the seeds fall off the flower back into the soil, and they just regrow that way. So they make a seed each year. And some lavender. So usually my annuals are my seed makers are the ones that I put in pots. Some coleus, and they replant themselves each year. So now I'm going to go around and cut flowers for a cut flower bouquet. Okay, so we're back at the table and I've got all of the flowers that I cut from my garden, and I've got my containers of water, and we're just going to go ahead and make some bouquets.
A bouquet is a collection of fresh cut flowers.
Okay, so when you make a bouquet, you want to cut off you don't want the leaves to get wet, so you want to cut off all the extra leaves, give the stem a little clean cut so it can drink up the water, and just plop it in your container. And I am a firm believer that there is no wrong way to really do this. Just whatever you like. Okay, so here we have our 2 bouquets, and they're full of all my garden flowers. As you can see, that's how you know they're full of pollen. So I'm going to move these into the shade. Actually, I'm going to bring them inside, and we'll use them in tomorrow's lesson when we talk about why flowers are important. So enjoy, and you have a good night, okay? Bye-bye.